by George, the Healthy Cooking Show, showing you healthy can be delicious. And on today's show, I'll be demonstrating how to make a recipe makeover. Yes, how to make recipe makeovers in your recipes in order to fight fat with healthy substitutions. And for this recipe, we're going to be grilling the chicken instead of frying it. And I'll show you how much fat actually comes off of the chicken, a pound of chicken, after you grill it. And then I'll also show you how to trim the fat off the chicken and how to slice it properly, because we're going to be preparing a Greek wine chicken, but the twist to it will be that it's going to be more healthy than the original recipe. Right here on Eat Right by George. Welcome back to Eat Right by George, where we're doing a recipe makeover. I'm showing you how to fight fat with healthy substitutions. And before I get started with the Greek chicken in wine sauce, I wanted to show you how to trim the fat off the chicken. As you can see, when you get chicken breasts, they do have some fat on the edge here. You don't want that in your recipe. That's extra calories. And you can also see there's more fat over here as well. So I'm going to show you how to trim that. And then I'm also going to show you how much grease comes off the chicken when you grill it. So a couple things. You're going to find out how much healthier you can be by trimming the fat off your chicken and by grilling it here on Eat Right by George. Welcome back to Eat Right by George, where we're doing a recipe makeover. And what I'm going to do here is trim the fat off the chicken. It's very simple to do. Wherever you see the fat, just take your knife, kind of pull it away from the skin. And take it off, wherever you see fat. Take your French knife, take that off. You want to have a lean piece of meat. See, there's more fat here. You don't want that in your dish because it's more fat, cholesterol, and calories, as you can see. Not very tasty either. It gets stuck when you're eating, stuck in your teeth. So as you can see, when you trim the fat off, you have a nice piece of chicken breast. And where you see this line here, you take and you follow that line and you cut once again. That way you have a nice even piece of meat. You can also grill this. This is the tenderloin, chicken tenderloin right here. I'll show you once again. You want to trim the fat, so take your chicken breast, take your knife, pull the fat away from the skin there. Put that aside. Wherever you see the fat, you just want to trim it off. Put that in a separate bowl to discard. And once again, as you can see here, throw that away. And then also you're going to see a line once again right here. You want to follow that line. And just pull that away from the rest of the chicken breast, your chicken tenderloin, and then you have your chicken breast. A nice piece of meat here. Now remember, when we're eating, meat should be the size of a deck of cards. So for one serving, you really should be cutting this in half once again when you're cooking it, which I'll show you later. And speaking of cooking the chicken, we're going to save calories and fat by grilling it. So I have a little grill, which I cook the chicken on. And look at this. After I grilled the chicken breasts. This is all the fat that came off. I grilled about 1 pound of chicken breasts. And this is all the fat, which is actually already, you can tell, starting to solidify. So when we don't grill, this is what we're eating. Let's say you deep fry the chicken instead, or you pan fried it. You're also eating all this, which is not good for you. It gets clogged in your arteries and can cause heart disease. So even though you're eating chicken breast, many people say the chicken breast is better for you, but if you don't trim the fat off, the excess fat, that could harm your heart health. So I trim that off, and also by using skinless chicken breast, I'm also saving about 100 calories because the skin of the chicken is also fat. You're saving about 100 calories. So once I have these all trimmed, I put them on the grill. I put them on in a casserole dish, and I'm going to bake them about 20 minutes at 350 degrees after they're grilled to make sure that they are cooked in the middle. When you grill them, you grill them in order to make nice lines and give color to the chicken, and then you can bake the chicken the rest of the way. So really the healthy ways to cook chicken is grilling and baking and roasting, not deep frying or pan frying. Because you don't want to be eating this. This is what's very harmful. It can clog your arteries and cause heart disease. Excess fat. Right here on Eat Right by George, we'll continue with the chicken wine sauce coming up next. Here on Eat Right by George. Welcome back to Eat Right by George, the healthy cooking show showing you healthy can be delicious. And now we're going to be demonstrating how to do the Greek red wine sauce for our chicken. Doing a little recipe makeover. And starting out, we want to put our pan on medium heat. Once again, I'm using my Ozeri pan, which is a ceramic coated pan. It's eco-friendly, and I've been using this for quite some time. And it's a better way to cook, less toxins in your food while you're cooking. So if you have like pans at home that the coating is scratched and there's no longer any coating on it, maybe discard those and get an Ozeri pan, because as you can see, this is a nice clean pan and the coating is all intact. So starting out, we want a couple tablespoons of olive oil, extra virgin. And for this recipe, we're going to need 3/4 of a cup of red wine. We'll need 1 cup of diced tomatoes, 1/2 cup of tomato paste, 1 cup of diced onions, 2 teaspoons of garlic, then a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a teaspoon of allspice for the Greek red wine chicken. It's really a nice recipe. The original calls for chicken that's been pan fried and breaded. So those things add calories to your dish. So you don't want anything that's breaded, because what it does is absorbs the oil, and that's more calories that you have to burn off. So once you get your pan medium heat hot, you want to add your onions, which I diced earlier. Saute them so they can give off that nice sweetness that this sauce needs. And we normally don't use cinnamon in a lot of sauces. Cinnamon is usually used in baking, in desserts and things, toppings. But for the Greek style red wine sauce, you do need a little bit of cinnamon. It gives that distinct flavor that you need. And as as you can see, I'm also using a wooden spoon. It doesn't scratch the surface of the pan. So once our onions get nice and tender, and you can almost see through them, and they've absorbed the oil, the next one, I add our diced tomatoes. Oh yeah. You add your diced tomatoes so they can also absorb all the flavor from your onions and olive oil. Stir them up. And while these are cooking, we have our chicken in the oven that's cooking, the grilled chicken. And near the end of the show, I'll show you how to combine everything and how to make a really nice plate. Well, now we can turn up our heat slightly. Because we want this sauce to come to a slight boil to absorb all the extra fluid and juice. And now one thing that is very important to add to the sauce is tomato paste. Tomato paste is what holds the sauce together. It's kind of like a binding agent. Very important when making a sauce, especially the Greek red wine sauce. And we use tomato paste also in making our filling for our grape leaves too. And make sure to dissolve that into our sauce. And your house is going to smell so good. All homemade. And just wait till we add the red wine. When you add the red wine, that just makes this even more spectacular. Now, one thing to remember when making this sauce is that you don't add the garlic in the beginning. You want to add that into your sauce once you've cooked your tomatoes and onion. Then you add the garlic, because what happens with garlic is it tends to burn. So you would never add garlic with the onions in the beginning, because garlic tends to burn and then it's got gives off a bad flavor. So the garlic should go into the cooked onions and tomatoes. To prevent it from burning. And of course, garlic, great for cholesterol. It's very helpful for heart health. One of the best foods to be eating daily. I recommend eating garlic every day. Using it in some kind of a dish, even in dips. Garlic is great. And now I dissolve the tomato paste. What I want to add next is our red wine. And for this recipe, always use a nice sweet red wine. You don't want to use white wine. This has more flavor, and then there's more heart health benefits in red wine, more antioxidants in red wine than white wine. We're using 3/4 cup of red wine. I'm just incorporating it into our sauce. And don't worry if you're worried about getting drunk. The red wine, the alcohol actually burns off during cooking. So the alcohol burns off and just the flavor remains. Just a wonderful sauce, very easy to make, and it blends with the chicken really well. Now one thing to remember is you add your spices last. So I have some cinnamon and allspice. I'm going to add those last because we don't want your spices to get bitter. The spices can get bitter during cooking if you add them in the beginning. So I like to add my spices at the end. So I have a teaspoon of cinnamon, which I love to cook with cinnamon, and then a teaspoon of allspice, which is used a lot in things like pumpkin fillings. So all these flavors all together, they work just wonderfully. I'm going to let this sauce come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to let it simmer for about 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, and let it thicken up a bit. The sauce should just be able to coat a spoon. It shouldn't be too runny or too thick. So once it's able to coat a spoon, it's ready to serve with our chicken. Now, one thing that I did previously is I boiled some angel hair pasta. And the way this is served is you boil some angel hair pasta until it's ready. Once the angel hair pasta is al dente, comes to a boil, then you add your sauce on top with the chicken and then garnish it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. And then it's ready to go. And this sauce is just about ready. It's come to a boil. Then I'm going to let it simmer. Simmer means to let it cook on very low. And then it's going to be ready to serve. And I have my chicken in the oven baking at 350 degrees. Once the chicken is cooked, it takes about 20 minutes. I want to check it with a knife to make sure that there's no pink in the middle. If there's pink juice inside the middle, then it's not cooked. It should, the juices should run clear in the chicken. And that's how you can tell if chicken is ready. If it still has pink juices, it's not.